the Minister for Business and Industry, Nadhim Zahawi, is with me now. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning, Minister. Why would putting Greater Manchester and Lancashire under Tier 3 restrictions be the right decision?
Well, this is really difficult. It's a balance between effectively two harms. The harm of the virus is doing, and then obviously the harm to the economy and also to health, actually, of having a national lockdown. So the local lockdowns is the best way forward. The decisions are made with a heavy heart, really hard decisions, whether it be in Liverpool with Steve Rotherham there, and I have to pay tribute to him. The work we did with him over the weekend was pretty remarable. And I hope we can do
different.
I hope we can do the same thing.
He's not very happy at all.
Well, no one is happy. Look, nobody's happy. As I say, we do this with a heavy heart, and I hope we can do the same with Andy Burnham and other parts of the country, clearly as well, not just obviously Greater Manchester, but London and elsewhere as well. None of these decisions are made easily, but it's a balance because we have to bring the infection numbers down because as they begin to spike, and you've heard Chris Whitty talk about this, that we have to get the numbers down. The tiers are the best way to do this. They're much simpler, much easier for people to understand where they are in their area. The app now has been downloaded by 17 million people. You heard President Macron praise our app. They've had a real problem in France. They've had to sort of delete the app because it was only downloaded by 1 million people. We've had 17 million people here. It now can tell people which tier they're in, and also people can look on their postcode to see which tier they're in. It's really difficult, Kay. I say this to you because, you asked me earlier before we went live as to how, what do we do? It's 7 days a week, 19 hours a day for frontline NHS staff, for obviously our staff in each and every department. But as I say, we want to work with local leaders to get this right.
Nobody underestimates the effort that the government is trying to do. Of course, nobody wants to see even one single life lost or one single job, and we understand that potentially that has to happen, or you're doing everything you can to try to stop that happening. But back to what we were talking about, Greater Manchester and Lancashire under Tier 3 restrictions. It looks as though they're going that way. You said that you worked well with Liverpool. The Mayor says something different. The Mayor of Greater Manchester is going to sue you.
Well, I hope we don't get to that place. I've known Andy Burnham for many, many years, and we want to work with Andy Burnham. We've already put £6 billion of help. He clearly has some points to make around the help. So if you do go into Tier 3, there is a support package, an economic support package of 2/3 of wages being paid for those, obviously, businesses that
Which
have
is
to close
fabulous.
down.
If you're working for Boston Consultancy, 2/3 of £7,000 a day is quite a lot of money. Two-thirds of, which equates to something like £5.50 an hour, is not very much money. You're not levelled the playing field. People feel that they're being left behind by this government.
I don't disagree with you in terms of the Boston Consultancy versus someone on national living wage, but if you take a single person on national living wage in Manchester, renting a one-bedroom flat, between the 2/3 scheme and universal credit, they'd get about 90% of their wages paid to them. It's not 100%, and I know that, and it's difficult to live off that. I know that too. My family had to go on, when I was young, on income support and housing benefits, so I know what it's like to have to live under something like universal credit. Although I have to say, universal credit has been an incredible safety net with the additional 9.3 billion that we put in. Not long time ago, Labour during the general election were asking for it to be abolished. They're not saying that now, I hope.
No. OK, so you're talking about the number of jobs, the amount of money that is being paid. Let me talk to you about the number of jobs. One of the reasons, I'm sorry, I can really hear myself back in my ear, guys. I wonder if someone could sort that out for me. Andy Burnham saying it's a blatant act of levelling down, and he fears part of the North won't emerge from Tier 3 measures until long into the winter. He talks about the number of jobs that are involved. 20,000 employed in pubs, 20,000 taxi drivers, 63,000 in accommodation and food services, 7,000 in hair and beauty. It goes on. 32,000 arts and entertainment, 187,000 self-employed. That is why he doesn't want to go into Tier 3. You're saying, tough, we're going to do it anyway.
No, we're not. What we're saying is, look,
we've got a package. And that's what it amounts to.
What we're saying is we've got a package. Rishi Sunak, to date, is now touching £200 billion of effectively putting our arms around the economy and jobs. Of course, if you do go into Tier 3, the
All
two-thirds
those
payment.
jobs are going to be affected.
No, I hear you, but France is around 60%.
We're not
Germany's at
talking about
70%.
France. Don't care. Don't care.
But
My viewers this morning in Greater Manchester don't care what's happening
I
across
hear
the
you,
channel.
and I hear your viewers in
They
Greater
care
Manchester.
about all of those jobs.
Of course, and so do we, which is why you get two-thirds of your salary if you are in a tier 3 and you
But the
are
man who
closed
knows
down.
better than you is the Greater Manchester. He worked in Westminster. He's now up there in Greater Manchester. He knows better than you guys. That's why you're asking his opinion. He's offering it. You're not taking any notice.
No, we do. We do take notice.
Why
We
is he
talk to
threatening
Andy,
to sue
but
you then?
because, look, he's clearly, upset, rightly so, because this is difficult. This is not easy. What we're saying is, look, let's keep working together. We're saying two-thirds of the wages will be paid for those businesses that will go into tier 3 and are closed down. It's imperfect, I know.
They might not be coming back to a job after.
Well, but actually, two-thirds payment is, I think, something that is right for us to do. It's right to protect the economy. We've already put £6 billion to all the local areas that have been asked to have local lockdowns. We've now moved to this tiering system. All I would ask Andy to do is to just keep working with us. Let's try and get this right. If we can do this together, which is what our hope is, we can suppress this virus, protect the NHS, protect lives, and come out the other end,
That's
hopefully.
what everybody wants, of course.
Of course.
But you're not including everybody. A Conservative MP in the North West, William Ragg, said he didn't get an invite to the meeting today that's being hosted by Helen Waitley. The Afzal Khan, Manchester MP, said last night that he found out on Sky News before he found out from the government that there was going to be a meeting this morning. It's a breakdown in communication. That's why people are angry. That's why they're threatening to sue you. What's your response?
Well, I would apologise to Afzal Khan and to William Ragg, both colleagues, both important to be at that meeting. It is a fast-moving situation. You know this, Kay, because you see it every day. I don't disagree with you.
It's your job.
I don't disagree with you. And,
so you apologise.
And I apologise, and I hope that they can be at the meeting and make time for that meeting so they can hear directly from the Chief Medical Officer, from the Deputy Chief Medical Officer, as to why we're having to take this action and why it's important that we work together. Well, no, what I'm saying to you...
You said why we're taking the action.
No, what I'm saying to you is they need to see the data, and of course that decision will be made jointly with the local leaders. That's how we should make this decision.
It wasn't in Liverpool.
Well, no, that's not true. Steve Rotham and
so are you suggesting they're being economical with the action?
No, I'm saying that he quite rightly was robust to understand what the reasons are, to look at the data carefully, and that's the right way to do this. We've got to work together on this. This is not about sort of finger-pointing or playing petty politics, and I hope it doesn't become like that, because the one thing we have to do now is set politics aside. I get it, oppositions have to oppose and they want to try and bring down the government, but not at this time where this is so crucial that we control this virus and come out the other end.
This circuit breaker's not happening anytime soon, isn't it? We heard from Trace Coffey yesterday, and she said, I put it to her that it won't happen in the next couple of weeks to tie in with half-term, and she said, I don't believe so. Is that your understanding?
Well, look, my understanding is we want to let the tier system work. That's the right way to go about this. I think, look, I said to you at the opening that this is a really tough balance between two harms. The harm of the virus and the harm if you have a national lockdown of an economic and health consequences. I would much rather not have a national lockdown. I'd much rather have these local tiered interventions that are much clearer, working with local government. And hopefully, if we work together, we can actually control this virus. But we quite rightly, I think, Chris Whitty has said, and the Prime Minister, that we keep all our options open because we have to protect lives and save the NHS. That is ultimately our absolute priority. How long will you give
this tier 3 system to work?
Well, so we have to make sure that the scientists, the experts, look at this. We've got to bring down the R number to 1.
You know that the scientists and the experts are saying that we need a national lockdown.
Actually, if you look at the SAGE advice, Kay, it said all the interventions have associated costs to them. Back to my issue about the balancing two harms. The harm of the virus and the pandemic, and a harm to the economy and to health as well. So that there are costs on both sides. There's no easy decisions.
Everybody understands that, Minister, but
yes.
It's confusing, the information that you are giving them. It's much more straightforward if you say, like we said in March, it's a national lockdown. everybody's impacted. We'll see where we are in 3 weeks. The problem with that is when you look at the death figures or the latest figures from Public Health England, it takes 3 weeks for that information to come through. So a lockdown is going to last longer than 3 weeks if we go into one.
And also, part of the problem with...
Is that right?
Well, part of the problem with the lockdown, Kay, is that you lock down an area like, say, Liverpool, where infection rates were above 800 per 100,000 population, whilst Cornwall is very low. So this one-size-fits-all, I think, does more harm, as Rishi Sunak has talked about, as Chris Whitty himself has talked about, because actually the economic harm leads to other health consequences and harms that people also suffer. So it's much better to do what we're doing, which is the local lockdowns. The WHO has commended us for this. As I said to you, President Macron saying, actually, the app is working.
We don't care what the French think about.
I hear you.
We don't care. We don't care. What we care about is the mixed messaging.
Well, it's not. It's very clear. There are 3 tiers that you can be into, and if the
and we're going to give those another
high,
couple of weeks before we decide what to do next.
And well, rightly so, because you've got to try and work together to make sure that people act responsibly. The tiers are very simple, easy to understand for people, and let's do this together. And
just to clarify, Greater Manchester and parts of Lancashire will be going into Tier 3 today.
Well, as I say, I'm not going to speculate. Matt Hancock is going to make a statement to Parliament as to where we are at, but you can clearly see the numbers. The virus is
in the North West this morning are watching, especially to listen to what you have to say, Minister.
I hear you, and Matt Hancock is already, and it's flashing on your ticker tape, is going to make a statement to Parliament, because that's the right way to do this, Kay.
OK. We understand how frustrating it is for you as well, and I'm sure that my viewers would want to say that they appreciate the amount of time and effort that all of your colleagues are putting in, but you also have to accept the frustration that they feel when they don't know whether they're going to have a job on Monday.
Well, I hope they know that this government is serious about protecting jobs and protecting opportunities and making opportunities available. We've put £200 billion into the economy to support jobs, to support businesses, whether it's the furlough scheme or the bounce-back loans. We have, at every stage, looked at what we need to do with the economy. I'm the Business and Industry Minister, and I speak to businesses every single day, and we try and flex the interventions we make so that they are fit for purpose. And I just think, it's difficult, but it's right that we offer those areas that if they do go into Tier 3, 2/3 of wages. And I think that's the right thing to do, plus universal credit as well, which is the safety net.
I hear you, and we've run out of time, and I haven't even asked you about Brexit. Are we going to get a deal or not?
Well, the Prime Minister's spoken to Charles Michel and to Ursula von der Leyen again. We'll wait for the outcome of the meeting, the European Council meeting, and then the Prime Minister will make a decision as to where we are. We absolutely want a deal. We want a Canada-style deal. But if we can't get a deal, rightly so, we've got to allow businesses to prepare. I can't go to businesses, at sort of the 11th hour on the 31st of December, say, now you have to prepare for this. We have to make a decision much sooner to be able to allow businesses to prepare. And I think the Prime Minister will well, the Prime Minister will make that decision. I don't want to sort of prejudge where we are at. Let's wait and see what happens at the Council as well.